Hey guys! So there were people in-game asking me about stuff regarding Heimdall, so I'll just go ahead and explain the team, equipment, and key focal points to the build that I used in the recent Memorial Arena. So first off, Shadow Knight. Flat increase of elemental damage and bonus starting SP for the team from her leader skill. She can also use the Gauntlet Divine Key, which when launched before the boss spawns, enables her to apply the support sticks debuff without having to be on the field. Next, we have Battlestorm. With an ultimate evasion that triggers a time fracture, she can buy some time, which is a crucial factor in the Memorial Arena, but it also plays a part in this build, which I will cover later. That aside, she is a greatsword user and is needed to bring Blood Dance to the fight. And then we have Phoenix. Since I don't have Blood Rose, Phoenix is the other Valkyrie that has the ability to break Heimdall's shield after any attack. Also, I'm really comfortable using Phoenix, so it's kind of a personal preference too. But lastly, as part of this build, her ultimate attack is needed as a finishing move to wipe Heimdall out before he turns red and goes on a rampage. Equipment is pretty straightforward. You basically don't need any T-Stigma equipped on Shadow Knight, so I just randomly picked one. May Beach Party M that increases total damage on target when hit, and Isaac Newton B for the same effect. Battlestorm holds the elemental support equipment because she has a better positioning, so it helps you stay in the circle, and of course Newton B because they stack. And for Phoenix, ideally you'd go for Lear Scarlet T or Jingwei T with Shakespeare M, and either Darwin B, which is what I went for, or another Isaac Newton B, if you have that many. However, I do not have Shakespeare M, so I went with Talus T and M, but you can't utilize the set effect because Phoenix uses combos and not charge attacks, but the base total damage bonuses are pretty good for this fight. So, battle mechanics. Like Benares? I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name. Anyway, Heimdall enters the field with an attack. Unlike Benares, this attack actually deals damage. It's not enough to kill you or anything, but just try not to get hit by it, okay? So we start with Shadow Knight using her weapon skill while moving into position. You'll have to try to get to just about outside this circle for Battlestorm to throw the Blood Dance Tornado at the right distance. Use the weapon skill and switch Phoenix in. Heimdall spawns into the tornado and the swords from Shadow Knight's weapon skill return, applying debuffs from both Shadow Knight and Battlestorm almost simultaneously. All that while evading his opening attack with Phoenix and countering to mark Heimdall with a firebrand. Heimdall enters his guard stance as a follow-up to his opening attack, and that shield will be broken by Blood Dance's Tornado. Use Senki Phoenix Soar, or better known as BBB, to spawn an SP pack while dealing damage. So from here, we have a few objectives. To bring Heimdall's HP down by about 1.5 bars, charge Phoenix's SP to 100, and break Heimdall's shield twice. Okay, so there's a bunch of attacks that can break the shield, but since we're on this build, the ones that we're looking at are Blood Dance's Tornado and Phoenix's counterattacks. So Phoenix is great here because she can break Heimdall's shield after every attack. Alright, so down to the various attacks. He usually starts with either a downward slash or an upward slash. For the upward slash, you have to look at its speed. If it's a really fast one, he's gonna do a 360-degree spin, then slash in a really wide arc, and end the attack with his defensive stance. Personally, I feel it's a little harder to break his shield after this one because you have to be very familiar with how Phoenix works to do it, but we'll talk about Phoenix later. Next, we have his upward slash, but he has a slight pause at the end of the slash, and if he does this, he's gonna do a follow-up by jumping gracefully into the air like a ballerina, and then slam his sword at full force at you. This is probably the easiest in terms of timing for the Phoenix counterattack. The airtime and everything makes it really easy to gauge. Now we move on to his downward slashes. Sometimes he just does one slash and then his 360-degree spin. Countering this requires the same timing as the one where he starts with the upward slash, so we'll just move on. The next one, it's pretty easy actually. So he'll do the downward slash, but he'll do another slash, which is about like a 45-degree angle, not important. Anyway, after that is the 360 and then the shield. He will also occasionally do a charging attack, and it ends with his ballerina sword slam. It is a shield breaking opportunity, but you might want to restart the round if he uses this because it's honestly quite a waste of time. So that's pretty much all the attacks that he uses, so let's move on to Phoenix. As I started to get used to this fight, I came to realize how incredibly well put together this build actually is. See, Blood Dance increases the enemy's attack speed, so that makes Heimdall execute the attacks faster, which sometimes means it's harder to evade, but that also means that the time gap from your evasion to him entering his defensive stance is shorter, allowing for a better chance for you to use your counter to break his shield. It does kind of add one more layer to the fight because we'll have to get used to the increased attack speed and his normal one. And I'd also just like to mention that it's not necessary for his attack speed to be boosted, but sometimes it does help. The other factors that help with the counter breaking the shield are your distance and your ability to delay the counter and make full use of your evasion. So back when I started playing, I was a really anxious player. I just rapidly tap the counter button as soon as I evade, but what's important to understand is that if you trigger a QTE or evasion, there's actually a really short amount of time where you can hold this state. For evasion, it's really short, but it also means that you don't have to counter immediately. So if you notice, in this instance, I actually waited for Heimdall to get closer to entering his defensive stance before I hit counter. Now, Phoenix does take a short while to launch her attack as well. In some cases, this delay in her actions will actually require for us to counter instantly to make up for the loss of time. Here though, it actually helps. Notice I've already input the command and she enters a stance before launching the attack. This gives Heimdall time to activate his shield, allowing the counter to hit at the right timing. The only thing to watch for when doing this is that if you delay it for too long, she loses the counterattack state. The other factor that I mentioned earlier is distance. So it's kind of like how we delay the activation in the counterattack, but this one is just having the right distance between you and the target, so it buys some time before the attack actually hits. This might be a little harder to consistently make use of though, because you'll have to passively position yourself throughout the fight. Alright, so we're done with that. So ideally, when all that's said and done, Heimdall's HP should be somewhere around here. So we actually have to leave a little HP for Phoenix's switch attack, which is pretty powerful and I clearly underestimated initially. Anyway, left with that amount of HP, switch Battlestorm in, ideally getting an ultimate evasion to trigger a time fracture, and await Heimdall's shield. Once he activates it, use Blood Dance to break it, switch Shadow Knight in for support debuff, and switch Phoenix in for the finisher. Now, here's where your equipment comes into play. Because I don't have Shakespeare M, my fire damage is slightly lower going into the last attack. And because of that, my playstyle has to be taken up a notch, and I need to time my last combo attack from Phoenix before switching out with Heimdall's attack and instantly activate Battlestorm's Time Fracture when she enters the field. This Time Fracture buys some time before Heimdall's next shield, allowing Phoenix's switch to cool down. I then need to maximize my timing to ensure that I do the ultimate while Phoenix still has 300 prana. So as you see here, the timing is very tight. Her ultimate is activated like 0.1 seconds before the third prana bar decays, and it goes below 300. If I had Shakespeare M, the flat fire damage bonus would give me enough damage even at 200 prana. Yep, but that's why I love the game, you know? You don't have the right equipment? Well, get something similar and then make up for it with your gameplay. Anyway, aside from the stacking of the Newton Bees and the support sticks with Blood Dance, Heimdall takes an additional 5% damage for every shield bar missing. So 4 times 5 is 20%, and then he also takes an additional 20% when he's kneeling on the floor and crying in pain. So 20% plus 20% equals 40%, but getting his HP below his 50% mark activates his overdrive state and he takes lesser damage while in it. The key here is that while transitioning, it takes a while for the damage reduction buff to kick in, so we have to use Phoenix's ultimate attack in this short gap. So he still has 0 damage reduction, and that's where the ultimate attack is so powerful. Okay, so this video took a lot longer than I thought it would, but I hope everything in it helps people understand some aspects of the game better. Again, I'm not really a guide video kind of player, just trying to share what I know, and hope that someone out there will find it useful. So thank you for watching, this has been MG, and I will see you guys soon.